In a world where artificial intelligence is moving faster than anyone predicted, one company decided that building the most powerful AI wasn't enough. It had to be the safest too. That company is Anthropic, and its AI model Claude just knocked ChatGPT off the #1 spot on the Apple App Store. So how did a group of scientists who walked away from the most famous AI lab in the world build something that is now shaking the entire industry? This is the story of Anthropic, and why it matters more than most people realize. From OpenAI exits to a new beginning, the story of Anthropic begins inside OpenAI. In 2021, a group of senior researchers and executives grew increasingly concerned about the direction AI development was taking. They believed the industry was moving too fast, with too little focus on safety. Leading that group was Dario Amodi, who was serving as OpenAI's vice president of research, and his sister Daniela Amodi, who was the vice president of operations. Together with 5 co-founders, Tom Brown, Jack Clark, Jared Kaplan, Sam McCandlish, and Chris Olah, they made the decision to leave OpenAI and start something new. In 2021, Anthropic was born as a public benefit corporation, a legal structure that placed a mission, not profit, at the center of the company. Their mission was straightforward but ambitious: build AI systems that are powerful, safe, and genuinely beneficial to humanity. This wasn't just a tagline, it was the operating philosophy behind every technical decision the company would make. Funding came quickly. In April 2022, Anthropic announced it had secured $580 million in early funding. Then came a major turning point in September 2023, when Amazon announced a massive investment partnership, eventually committing $4 billion to Anthropic. Google was already on board as an investor too. By 2024, Anthropic had become the second highest-funded AI startup in the world, raising $2 billion a year alone. By November 2025, the company's valuation had rocketed to $350 billion, fueled by a $13 billion Series F funding round, one of the largest in the history of the technology industry. The company's culture attracted serious talent. In 2024, prominent AI researchers including Jan Lake, John Schulman, and Dirk Kingma departed OpenAI and joined Anthropic. These weren't just names on a resume. These were researchers who had helped build the very models that launched the AI revolution. Their arrival signaled that Anthropic was becoming one of the most technically formidable AI labs on the planet. What makes Claude different? In the summer of 2022, Anthropic finished training the first version of Claude, but chose not to release it publicly. The reason was unusual in an industry obsessed with being first. They wanted more time for internal safety testing. That decision speaks volumes about the company's priorities. Claude was eventually released to selected users in March 2023, and the public version, Claude 2, launched in July of that year. But what actually sets Claude apart from models like ChatGPT or Google's Gemini? The answer is a training technique Anthropic invented called constitutional AI. Instead of simply training the model on raw human feedback, constitutional AI gives Claude a set of principles, a kind of ethical constitution, and then uses those principles to guide the model's own self-evaluation during training. The result is an AI that doesn't just follow instructions, but actively evaluates whether its responses could cause harm. Claude also handles remarkably large amounts of text. With a context window of up to 200,000 tokens, the equivalent of roughly 150,000 words, it can read and analyze an entire novel or a large codebase in a single session. This makes it especially powerful for enterprise use cases like legal document review, scientific research, and complex software development. The model family has grown consistently with each generation. Claude 3 launched in March 2024 with 3 tiers: Haiku for speed, Sonnet for balance, and Opus for maximum capability, and was described as setting a new industry benchmark across multiple cognitive tasks. Claude 3.5 Sonnet followed in June 2024 with notable improvements in coding and visual analysis. In February 2025, Claude 3.7 Sonnet introduced hybrid reasoning capabilities, letting users control how deeply the model thinks through a problem before responding. Then in May 2025, Anthropic released Claude 4, its most significant leap yet, with Opus 4 classified as a Level 3 model on the company's 4-point AI safety scale, indicating it was powerful enough to require heightened caution in deployment. Claude's capabilities have expanded far beyond conversation. In October 2024, Anthropic released a computer use feature allowing Claude to interpret screen content and simulate mouse and keyboard inputs, meaning it could actually operate a computer on a user's behalf. The company also launched Claude Code, a command line tool that lets developers use Claude to write code, run commands, read files, and build software autonomously. In December 2025, NASA engineers used Claude code to plan a driving route for the Perseverance Mars rover. In February 2026, a team of 16 Claude Opus 4 6th agents collaborated to write a working C compiler in Rust entirely from scratch, something no AI model had. Man tells its own story. Anthropic reported $850 million in annualized revenue in 2024. By August 2025, it had reached $5 billion in annual recurring revenue and projected $9 billion by the end of that year. Enterprise clients account for roughly 80% of that revenue, with companies across healthcare, finance, and technology integrating Claude into their core workflows. Claude is available on Amazon Bedrock, Google Cloud's Vertex AI, and Microsoft Foundry, making it accessible to developers building custom AI applications anywhere in the world. Standing firm and breaking into the mainstream, by early 2026, Anthropic found itself at the center of a controversy that would inadvertently make Claude a household name. In February 2026, the U.S. Department of Defense officially renamed the Department of War under a September 2025 executive order, demanded that Anthropic remove two clauses from their military contract. Those clauses prohibited using Claude for mass domestic surveillance of American citizens and for powering fully autonomous weapons systems. Anthropic refused to remove either restriction. The refusal triggered a government-wide ban designation, but the public reaction was something no one expected. Google searches for Anthropic hit their highest level since the company's founding. Claude hit an all-time record for new user sign-ups, and Claude's mobile app climbed to the #1 spot on the Apple App Store, dethroning ChatGPT, a position ChatGPT had held for years. Pop star Katy Perry was among the new users publicly noted as switching to Claude during this period. Demand was so intense that Claude briefly went offline on a Monday morning due to, as Anthropic described it, unprecedented demand. The episode illustrated something important about Anthropic that goes beyond technical benchmarks. The company was willing to walk away from hundreds of millions of dollars in government revenue rather than allow its AI to be used in ways it considered dangerous. In a technology landscape where companies routinely bend their principles to close a deal, that decision stood out. Anthropic has also pushed aggressively into education and global infrastructure. In 2025, the company partnered with Iceland's Ministry of Education to bring Claude into classrooms for teachers. Norway's $2 trillion sovereign wealth fund began using Claude to screen its investment portfolio for environmental, social, and governance risks. During a 2-week scan in early 2026, Claude identified over 100 bugs in Mozilla's Firefox browser, 14 of which were classified as high severity. User growth reflects all of this momentum. Claude's monthly active users grew from 9 million in January 2024 to 9 million by early 2025. The demographic skews young and technical. More than half of users are between 18 and 24 years old, giving Anthropic a strong foothold among the next generation of developers, researchers, and builders. The rise of Anthropic is not simply a story about a company gaining market share. It is a story about what happens when a group of people decides to compete on values as much as capability. In an industry where the race to build the most powerful AI often crowds out every other consideration, Anthropic has chosen a different path. Whether that path leads to long-term dominance remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: Claude is no longer just an alternative to ChatGPT. It is a genuine force, and the world is finally paying attention.